Hey guys, and welcome back to Runway from the Rav, a Project Runway podcast. My name is Riley.
And I'm Maggie.
And today we'll be discussing Season 16, Episode 2, titled In Unconventional Recycling. So this was our first of the season, our first team challenge, our first unconventional challenge, and not our first one-day challenge. So they love their one-day challenges now. So they were tasked with a high-fashion recycled look, and we met Tim and Anne Fullenwider, who I believe is the editor-in-chief of Marie Claire, so Nina's boss. She's been on several seasons now. We're like, sustainability and recyclable kind of goods is becoming really big in fashion, because fast fashion and fabrics and stuff are definitely, impacting the environment and creating a lot of trash, which obviously we should all care about. We all live on Earth. We pack it full of garbage. It's going to be like WALL-E up in here. Okay, we're all going to have to ship off to space.
Yeah.
Become fat little things in our driving carts. Yeah.
That is my fear.
Yeah, it's a great movie because it's like, oh God, this could happen. And it's going to be your fault, fashion industry. Yeah. No one else's. Nothing else is wasteful. Not every industry ever. But anyway, so Anne and Tim said, you're going to have a team challenge, and they split them up into 3 teams of 5, and we'll get into the teams in a second. And then they were at the Royal, Recyclable Center in New York, the biggest one. And they were like, these are your materials. So it's like plastic, paper. There's probably, I don't know. It looked messy. All the contestants were like, it smells. I believe the twins went back and forth on colorful language of it's acrid. I would say it's this. Oh, it's this, indeed.
Yeah.
So it smelled. It didn't look like they got protective gloves.
No.
Because when they got 5 minutes to grab materials in their teams, and I think Claire cut her finger, and somebody else, they're digging through trash and stuff. And I'm just like, you didn't give them plastic gloves or something? Because they were foil and sharp things. So
yeah.
I don't think there was a button bag shown. But I believe they still choose teams based off the button bag, although we'll get to why I find that slightly doubtful this time around.
Well, he didn't say. Tim did not claim to have used
the button bag. No. They just said they divided up the teams. So Team 1 was Kudzunai, Michael, Kentaro, Deontay, and Margarita. Team 2 was Aaron, Botany, Brandon, Kenya, and Ayana. And then Team 3 was Centel, Samantha, Amy, and Sean and Claire. I find it a little suspect that the twins were together.
Yeah, it was planned.
Yes.
For sure.
To keep them together. I think it'd be way more interesting to see them apart. And we'll get into that more as we get further into the episode in the workroom and their dynamic together. But I think this would have been a nice chance to separate the twins. But it is, it is possible that if they did random chance, there's only 3 teams, so it could have been that they were chosen randomly together. It just seems a little suspect. So they were tasked with making a 5-look mini collection, high fashion, out of these recycled materials. So this was not supposed to be everyday wear. This was not supposed to be, just run-of-the-mill. It was supposed to be high fashion. And then the winner would get a spread in Marie Claire about sustainability. So that's a nice win for the models. And I think it's just the one winner, but for the model, and then for that winner, obviously, it's only the second week. These people could go home at any time. We'll get into who the winner is, but it's if nothing else, you got to spread Marie Claire. Mm-hmm. I mean, starting off pretty solid for the winner there. So we get into the work. There wasn't really anything interesting when they were getting the materials, I didn't think.
No, but it did crack me up. I think it was Samantha. She had to whip out her inhaler.
Oh, yes! That's right at the end. Yeah, because, Claire, cut her finger and immediately put it in her mouth. And I'm like, you're touching garbage.
Oh.
I thought you were, classy, high, hoity-toity twins. She, sticks her cut finger in her mouth like a 3-year-old. And then, near the end, they're Centel's grabbing armfuls of stuff. They're running around, and poor Samantha's with her inhaler. As someone who has an inhaler, you always feel cool. And she's I'm fine. It's oh my gosh. And they're sweating. They're all whoo, 5-minute rush. But I'm sure it is stressful. Especially with a team, you've got 5 people that you need to get enough materials of to get enough that are because it's a cohesive mini collection. So it's supposed to look like the same person would own all 5 of these outfits. So it's if you get one really cool fabric or material, but not enough for 5 garments, you could be SOL. So that was the 5-minute dash. So there was no mood this week, no swatch.
No.
Womp womp. So then they go back to the workroom in their little teams, and it begins very soon that the teams, some are working better together, some are not. Amy immediately is like, sigh, I have the twins. Samantha and Centel also expressed concern. Centel, I think, said it very well, that like that's a team within a team.
Yeah.
So like when you have kind of like last year, Aaron and what was his name? Oh, now I can't remember. I thought this would be a great little segment. But they became really close friends. And so it became there for several, like throughout the whole middle of the season, that they always threw other people under the bus. And he fought with Cornelius all the time. I just can't remember his name. And we liked his stuff.
Make me crazy.
I know, I can't remember. We liked his stuff too. But anyway, they became like kind of friends. And so it was basically them against the world, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have the twins, who obviously, I think this is even our first siblings. So they're siblings, they're twins, and they're like, they will be a united front. Mm-hmm. So no throwing one under the bus without the other, like them both throwing anybody else under the bus together. So it starts out, team one kind of decide that their theme is going to be like this Japanese modern kind of twist. And then when Tim comes in, they say it's like a Japanese garden being taken over by samurai. Okay, that's fashion, I guess. I don't know. And they ended up naming themselves Wabi Sabi, which according to Kentaro, who is Japanese, that it was a type of like mash of like artistic design.
Yeah.
Then team two, decided they were going to be balling on a budget.
Yeah.
Which is something I know you and I have, we live that life, okay? We are balling on a budget.
Yeah.
Tim, I don't think has ever heard the term ballin', let alone balling on a budget. And when they were like, everybody else says their team names, and then this team was like, ball on a budget. He's like, excuse me? And then team three, they decided they wanted to do, team two was going to have like a socialite going to like music festivals. Balling on a budget socialite. And then team three wanted to do, because they had a lot of like sea glass, like green and blues, they wanted to do this watery theme, but then it became like resort/cruise. Mm-hmm. And they became Team Tsunami.
Yeah. Oh, sidebar.
Yeah.
It was Dexter.
Dexter, yes. Yes.
Continue.
Dexter and Aaron became like a united front, kind of like the twins did, because they formed such a solid friendship. Whereas like last year, I know everyone else's names, but like Cornelius and Natalia, who were friends initially, but they weren't quite as united when like judging happened.
Right.
So in the workroom, it becomes pretty clear. We didn't hear a whole lot from Team Wabi Sabi after they kind of decided what they were going to make, or really balling on a budget. They had some struggles, but Team Tsunami was having some issues. Sean, the shaved-headed twin, was having some issues because she was on the bottom last week, so obviously she was taking a confidence hit. She was struggling because she's not a quote-unquote girly designer. No one in the team said you had to make girly stuff. You're working with recycled materials. It's up to you how you transform it. You can make any kind of garment look edgy or not. But she just took it like the whole team was making her make girly things. Mm-hmm. And she was really struggling with making anything. She just like... And then she started to get Claire confused or like concerned as well. So they're both remaking their garments and redrawing it, reconceptualizing. Mm-hmm. They're kind of psyching each other out. Yeah. And Sean and Claire this week had separate talking head moments. Last week they were always together, I think. But this time they had a few together, and then they had most of them alone, which I think was telling because they were both approaching this very differently. So I think Claire was more confident in what she was doing, but then with Sean, like your twin sister or just even a sibling being so stressed and freaked out, like, yeah, that would freak me out too. Mm-hmm. If it's like, well, at the end of the day, this competition, you win or you lose, but it's, a few weeks of your life and it's over, but like your siblings forever, right. And obviously their bond's pretty strong. So she was like trying to help Sean, but also freaking out. And then Centel, Samantha, and Amy are trying to help, but not as much as I would have expected. Like, I think Centel offered quite a bit of help, but I was a little surprised with Amy. She's not the first fashion teacher we've seen. She's like twice these girls' age, and I guess she's just annoyed by them, but she like offered no assistance that I saw.
Yeah.
Not that she has to, but it's just like last year we had Alex who kind of acted as a mentor to the younger folks, or like Tim used to be a fashion instructor and he acts, and I was just like, Amy, Sheila's like, in her talking head, she's like talking about how Sean's losing it and and I'm like, that could be a chance for you as an older designer to pull her aside and be like, hey, this too shall pass. Like, we just have to focus and get to work. Right. But instead, she just complained about Sean and Claire the whole time.
Well, I mean, it's still early.
True.
So people are definitely still looking out for themselves.
True.
Only. So I feel like that's why they probably didn't help initially. And it's been clear, too, that the twins are little irritating to some people.
True.
And so maybe they were hoping, like, maybe this will split them up. But I don't know.
I just saw it as a bit of a lack of maturity on Amy's part. I like her as a person still. I just saw it as like, Whereas it sounded like Centel helped a lot more. Like, Sean was like, I don't ask for help. And he's like, I understand that. Like, I don't either, but like, we're a team now. Or even Samantha. So I was just like, I don't know. Usually when I look for guidance, I look for an older person that's their job. Her job is literally to help young people do fashion. So I just saw it as a misstep on her part. I wouldn't call her teach.
She helped more in the critique of like how they could blend like the different elements
when Tim came around,
But I don't know. Maybe that's just not her teaching style.
Could be. Sink or swim. Could be. That's just something I noticed. Yeah. And then Claire was obviously helping Sean out quite a bit, as did Samantha. That team struggled a lot with their materials, and then they just kind of struggled cohesively. The other teams, they may have had their like slight issues with their materials, or like Tim didn't think anybody's like was cohesive initially, but I think really only Team Tsunami had a little Team Tsunami, if you know what I mean. So this is definitely our first like big drama, was Sean's like losing faith in herself and trying to not sink her team. I can't remember much else from the workroom. The models came in. We had the model mirror again, although it wasn't quite as big of a deal. Sean mentioned that this is her first time really working as a team. That wasn't just her sister, and that this is her first time working with recycled materials or unconventional materials, not fabric. And I'm like, okay. And then it's also her first time working with a quote-unquote curvy girl. And her model is not a size 2, to be honest. But her model is not a size 22 either. She's
like right in the middle.
Yeah, and I would not consider her curvy. The judges, Ann Fullenwider and Maggie Q. Maggie? Whoa, were you in? Maggie Q had some good things to say, though.
Yeah, she did.
We'll get to the quotes of the week a little later on. But, so Sean mentioned that several times, that it was like, kind of like Brandon did last episode, where he was like, I've never worked with women's wear before, and now I also have a plus size model, so this is just even harder for me. And he's like, boo-hoo, get over it. Real people are different sizes. America, we're an obese nation. Like, there's going to be people of bigger, different sizes or different shapes. Right. And it's just like, expand. Like, go and prosper and learn and achieve more. So that was disheartening to hear, that Sean was struggling and then was like kind of taking it out on the situation and not her own skills. And I know not everybody can internalize things, and she's obviously terrified of failure. Like in her talking head, she was like crying about like, I'm so scared of like failing, which is like, I think we can all, see a little into that. So do you have anything else about the workroom?
There was one moment that I appreciated. I don't even remember who the heck it was, but it was somebody who was painting over newspaper, and it was just a little comment where they're like, let's just paint over Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So, just a little nugget that I appreciated.
Yeah. There was quite a bit of this similar materials, I will say. Like, a lot of people had the same color vinyl, like green plastic, like trash bag kind of material, newspaper quite a bit. Obviously, it's a recyclable place. You can only recycle so many things.
Yeah.
So, we did have a little of that. But Yes, there was that moment, and then the talking, the model mirrors this time. Everybody, all the models were like, it's fine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super comfortable or wearable. You know, they're like, it's going to be hard to walk down the runway loud and proud while you're wearing garbage. But, you know, that's the part of being a model sometimes, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get to the judging.
Yep.
Okay, so the judging went, there's 3 teams, so we'll just go in order of each person down through the team. And then there was a winning team and a bottom team. So the top person from the winning team won the whole thing, won the spread and Marie Claire and immunity. And then the bottommost person from the bottom team went home.
Yep.
So first up was Team Wabi Sabi.
Yep.
And first down the runway was Margarita.
Mm-hmm.
And she made like a short dress with a V-neck. That kind of, maybe it's a shirt and goes into, like, it's some type of textured shirt or skirt. Mm-hmm. And then the back had kind of like, it had like an obi style like belt with a tie. Mm-hmm. And then the skirt had like this like plastic, it's like what you hold cans together with. They use that a lot on this. That like, to make it look kind of like feathers. What do we think of Margaritas?
I liked this one. I thought this was a good opening look. And I think out of all of them, I like this color palette the best.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've got the red and the silver, and
yeah,
it just looked nice.
I mean, all unconventional, especially with these kind of materials, they were all a little sloppy or like a little, you know, because it's not fabric. But like, I think like what they could do with it or what Margarita could do with it, like it does give me a little Japanese vibe. I think the red color helps. The kind of obi tie in the back with the belt and then like the shoulder. I'm getting a little samurai armor vibes, like from that kind of like angled shoulder.
Yeah, and the front like kind of reminds me of like a kimono style like wrap kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And then down to the obi, yeah.
It's nice.
Yes, I liked it. So next up we had Kentaro, and he put down a strapless dress with a belt. And then it had like a pleated skirt, and it was a plastic over. I think they also painted newspaper like whitish silver. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a short little dress. What do we think of Kentaro?
I thought this one looked good too. I mean, I didn't have super strong feelings about really anyone on this team, but I liked it. What do you think?
I liked it. I think it's pretty simple, but it doesn't look like garbage at first glance.
Yeah.
I mean, on TV anyway. I'm sure in person it's like, yeah, I can see everything. But, you know, on TV, on the runway, I believed it. I felt it was transformed, but nothing special. Mm-hmm. Right? Next up, we had Deontay. That's last week's winner. He put down, I think it's a brown. It's like a greenish brown vinyl top with big sleeves and then a tight skirt down to about the knee. And then he had like cut like these like slits kind of all over it. And then he had like a bit of red underneath. What did we think of Deontay's?
Not my favorite. I thought this one was honestly really ugly. But I think, like, I don't know. It is, like, an interesting piece to look at, but I did not like the slits. I thought that made it look kind of, like, cheap. And personally, I just really don't like that color. Like, that greenish gray, whatever it is. Like, I'm not a fan of that color. I guess it fits in their collection, but
yeah, a lot of them used it. I want to like it. I like the kimono style, like kind of sleeves, and I like the length of the skirt that they were differentiating, like the length of it. Mm-hmm. I think the slits went too far. I don't mind the ones on like the skirt, but I think the ones on the sleeves look like she went through the shredder.
Yeah,
like a little too much, or got in like a fight with Wolverine. Like it's a little too much for me, but I don't hate it.
Yeah.
And it felt like it kind of fit in the collection with the color scheme.
It did, yeah.
And I think they were all wearing like very similar shoes as well. Mm-hmm. Next up we have Kudzunai. He also used that brown vinyl, and he made a jumpsuit, our first jumpsuit, I think. Mm-hmm. And then it was backless, and then it kind of had like this crossbody like red top, and then it had this clear plastic cape jacket that went with it, and it was a full-length jumpsuit that had a similar like the cut, like the slit design. Mm-hmm. What do we think of that?
This one I kind of have the same feelings that I did with Deontay's, where like it's interesting, but I think my little Iowa brain just doesn't get it. Like I'm just like I'm not feeling it. Like I appreciate it as like art, you know, but this one's not for me.
I actually like this one quite a bit if you take off the plastic coat. Like the cape coat thing doesn't do it for me because it's clear.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just kind of weird. But I liked the jumpsuit aspect.
Yeah.
I liked the...
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the slits, but the jumpsuit fits her really well. He got slightly a smaller model here, I would say. But I really liked that, like, the back was just that one stripe of red, like a, I don't know, like a strap. That kind of reminded me of, like, a sword. Like a samurai sword or something that you would like hang off your back. So, and it's not my favorite, but I didn't dislike it. And then last from Team Wabi Sabi, we had Michael, and we heard a little from him this week. Last week, nothing. This week,
a little bit more.
A little bit more. So he used that same brown vinyl, and he made kind of like a flapper style, like tube dress kind of, with red detail at the hem and then the neck. And then at the neck, he had this like plastic feather detail of like red and clear, but it just at the neck. What do we think of Michael's?
I liked this one, but I kind of felt like this was the odd one out of their collection. Like, I like all the textures that he has in it. It's kind of cool to look at, but I don't know. I just don't know about the neck part, like the feathery part.
It seems a little not done. Like, I really like the look of that. I wish it was elsewhere.
Yeah.
As well. Because it just looks like she's got like a hairy chest. I like the look of it. I think it looks like feathers. It does not look like whatever it is, like cut up magazine or plastic, whatever it is. I just wish it did something else. Like maybe it started at the hip and came up and spread. Or hell, did the whole thing and make it a big fuzzy flapper dress. But yeah, this one was just kind of whatever to me. Next up we had Team Tsunami. And the first one out was Sentel. And he put down a green plastic dress, off-the-shoulder dress with a belt. And then it kind of had like an uneven hem with a weird hip flap.
Yeah.
What do we think of Sentel's?
Not my favorite. I don't know. Just as like a general statement, I did not like their choice of materials. I didn't like the green, and then we'll see later there's some purple vinyl coming up.
Yeah, like periwinkle, yeah.
And, like, it's just this piece to me, like, it was not executed very well. Like, you can see his ideas, but it's like, it's not an extremely unique silhouette. And then just poor execution. What do you think?
It still looks like a trash bag to me.
Yeah.
So it has already failed the challenge. Unconventional challenges in Project Runway, you gotta transform it. Last season, we had a lot of muslin dresses where I could see the muslin. I don't care if you paint it. That's muslin. Disqualified. Disqualified. This one is still a trash bag. Disqualified. No one in Team Wabi Sabi did it still look like the piece of garbage that they picked up at the recycling center. This one, it does. It looks like she took like a rain poncho and, like, had to, like, improvise a dress for, you know, whatever reason. And that still looks like that now. The few pieces I do like about it, like the braided kind of strap, he didn't do.
No.
So, that's Sentel's. Next, we have Samantha. We heard a lot more from her this week. She not only has cool hair, she also has cool earrings.
Yes.
Like glass. I don't know if they're glass, but, like, kind of like glass or plastic statement earrings. Samantha made a green plastic braided top that had a deep plunge, if it even connected, at the bottom. And then she paired that with like a painted silver skirt, kind of like a wrap skirt. What do we think of this?
Out of this collection, this one was my favorite. Just out of Team Tsunami. I thought she did a really good job on the top. The bottom, not so much. I feel like if she had had more time, the bottom could have been better resolved. So I like it top up. What'd you think?
Same. I think the skirt and that whole like painting the material like silvery white, whatever, not really transformed. I hate the belt is just like straps and CD cases. I like the braided top. I wish she'd done like a whole braided dress with maybe like on some of the braids put like metal or some like little beading detail or something like that. And then maybe use like the silver as like the neck piece or something. But yeah, I think this one was one of the stronger from this team, for sure.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Amy. She made like this, it's that purpley, like kind of periwinkle vinyl. I'm going to call this a poncho.
Yeah.
Like a short
know
cropped
what you'd
poncho
call
or
it.
like, I don't
It's
know.
kind of like a swing
Mock.
jacket thing.
Yeah. But I think it's closed in the front and the back.
Yeah, I don't think it's a jacket, no, but...
No, but it's like some type of, I don't know,
Whatever.
poncho loose thing with a lace-up back using that braid.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has a CD case skirt, like plastic CD case. Kind of looks like fish scales or like shells. What do we think of Amy's?
I didn't think this one was that bad. I mean, it's not that great, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not that bad. It's fine for what it is. Like, for the materials they had to use. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what I feel about this. Like, it looked way different to me in the workroom than it did. So I was surprised when it came out on the runway. Because I feel like I didn't see her put together that skirt at all. Like, I just don't remember. I remember seeing those discs on the table.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember seeing those actually being used.
No, and I'm not sure what they're over top of.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. I actually like the skirt. I think they still look like CD cases, but in the way she's layered them and kind of changed up the color, it could be like, glass, like big glass beads or something. I don't like the top. I just now noticed that all their models have fishtail braids, so they really went for like the watery, cruisy look. I didn't like it. I almost liked it better when it had like the kind of, Tim came in and critiqued, and she had more of that green up at the top, and she was turning it into like a hood. I think if she'd rolled it back and just had it like a fur style like trim, it may have looked a little better. But to me, it looks like a child's painting smock in vinyl, so you can easily wipe it off. And then the skirt looks like a lampshade.
Their color scheme is so weird.
They hung up on sea glass, and they didn't really critique that. They just ran with it.
Yeah. And that purple, or periwinkle, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, not the best. So next we have Sean. She had a halter dress with that same kind of purpley blue vinyl. And then she used some CD cases to make like a little belt. And then she had like a fitted skirt with blue and silver, like a blue bar down the middle and like silver hips. What do we think of this?
Not my favorite. I mean, nobody on this team was my favorite. But, this one was a surprise because you really didn't get to see much of what was going on with hers in the workroom.
Yeah, I don't think I saw her assemble any of this.
No, and so that's a mystery, which I guess we'll talk about a little later on. But, it'd be interesting to see, who actually did what. As opposed to who said they did what.
Because we saw a lot of people working on the top, or at least looking at how it was going to fold, because it's like a halter dress with some interesting folding. Centel claims later that he made the top.
Yeah.
And then last up from this team, we had Claire. And she made a silver crop top and a silver high-waisted skirt. Can I just say, when dressing plus-size models, you can stray from the crop top high-waisted combo. Not last season, but the Ashley season, she did a lot of that, because that's obviously her own style. So she did a lot of that kind of look. This is the second now challenge where the people who have the larger models have been doing this. Not to say it looks bad, and the models' bodies are rocking it, but I'm just like, I hope that as this season continues, we see less of that, or some changes on it. This one, what do we think of Claire's?
Not my favorite. It doesn't, it's just paper mostly, so it doesn't lay very well on her. And, I don't know, I just think there's something weird about the proportions. I don't know. Not my favorite. What were your opinions?
It looks a little Bride of the Tin Man to me. This model, her name is Lyris. Follow her on Twitter. She is very active. She is also hilarious and is completely owning the season. Yeah. She walked this dress like it was a $10 million ball gown. She saved it for me a little bit, to be honest. It's certainly not the worst. No. But there's hardly much to it. And it just relies so much on the silver that it's just kind of, and it's got kind of like a skirt fluff on one side, but just not a lot going on.
No.
So next up, we have Team Ballin' on a Budget.
Mm-hmm.
And first up here, we had Botany, and she had this high neck short dress with like panels of the different materials that everybody else used. So it had like some vinyl, some paper, and some textures they made themselves. What do we think of this?
I really like this one. This one was one of my favorites. If not my favorite. I'm not sure. I really liked it. I thought this was just like amazing compared to what she put out last week. It was like a completely different person. I like all the combinations that she did, and she completely started over.
She did.
And like she was still able to pull this off. I don't know. What do you think?
I like the front. The back is a little busy to me, like with all the ties. But I really like that in this one piece, and I like that it was first. I don't know if they got to plan their order or if it was still random. I'm really not sure. But I liked that her piece was either needed to be first or last, right? Because it involved panels of every other material they're going to use, and that's very clever. To have one dress that fully ties it together, and then aesthetically, it's setting the tone.
Yeah.
With that high neck. Next we had Aaron, and he made this like white silvery fringe crop top with a clear like patterned short over top of a white, self-proclaimed by Aaron and the model, diaper. What do we think of Aaron's diaper?
I mean, the model made it look kind of cool.
She had sunglasses on and her hair was kind of 80s frizzy, yeah.
She did. And I'll admit, like, when I saw it on the runway, I didn't realize that the shorts were, like, see-through like that. Which, I'm not sure how I feel about that now, like, that we're looking back at it. But, I don't know. I thought it was nice. It's not anything I would wear, but, I mean, this is high fashion, so.
High fashion.
High fashion.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't dislike it. I think the diaper part is weird. But, if I think of it as, like, just super high-cut booty shorts, I don't dislike it as much.
Yeah.
And his model styling was really good. Good job, JCPenney and Avon. Next up, we had Kenya, and she made a newspaper dress that they kind of did, like, a wash on, and then had plastic over top. And then this thing had, like, a little... what do they call it? Like a keyhole, like up at the top, and then these really puff, like Minnie Mouse shoulders, and it was this really short, kind of like flowy skirt. What do we think of Kenya's?
I really liked it. This was really well done. Like, if you compare the fit of this to, I think, what was it, Claire's dress, where they're essentially made out of the same materials, basically just paper. But this one actually, like, it moves, and it looks like it actually has some shape to it. Like, I don't know. When you look and see what's possible, it's quite a difference. But my only critique on this is, like, I just kind of felt like it didn't go with the rest of the collection.
Yeah.
I liked it, but it did seem to kind of be the odd one. I don't know. What do you think?
I liked it. It's a little Lolita fashion for me. It doesn't have a flowy skirt. It has like a circle skirt that's like pleated. And then with the puff sleeves and the little keyhole, and then her like models got like a bun. Yeah, I agree. It didn't seem to fit with the others as much, but I do like it. It looks well made. It still looks like newspaper, but it's kind of like it's plain on that. Like, so I'm not mad that they didn't elevate this, like, so it still looks like newspaper, but it's purposeful newspaper, if that makes any sense. Whereas the garbage bag was not purposeful.
Right.
Next we have Brandon. And he made, so he designed a pattern for his team where he just made like white kind of checkerboard pattern on this brown vinyl. And then he ended up making a crop top. Crop top, we need like a buzzer every time we say crop top this season. I have a feeling. He also made a crop top last week with high-waisted, wide-leg pants, which he also basically made last week. It was just a skirt, but it was very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar silhouette, let's put it that way. And then they were a wide-leg pant. What do we think of this?
I liked it. I thought, although it was like pretty simple, I loved it. I thought it looked really cool. Maybe the model just made it look really good, but it looked good to me. What do you think?
I liked it. I think, I don't know. I liked his pattern that he made. I like that the rest of them went with it. I think this piece was very successful. His model looked comfortable in it. I think, up close it probably looks kind of weird, but on the runway and from afar it looks pretty good. I hope he continues to push himself and that he doesn't just make separates and kind of crop top stuff this season. But it's only the second challenge, so I'll give him a pass, and I did like it. This was one of the stronger pieces for me.
Yeah.
For sure. Next up, almost close out the picture. Next up, we have Ayana, and she's a modest designer, so she said she struggled a bit this week with the material system when so many of them were like flimsy or see-through. But she ended up making this modest fringe dress over top plastic. So it had like the brown vinyl fringe, and then it was over top like a newspaper plastic. And then Nina's favorite, it had bottle cap buttons down the back. What do we think of this?
I guess I just don't get it. I didn't get it at all. When I saw this, I thought it was so hideous. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. What do you think?
I don't like fringe. I've never liked fringe. I just don't like fringe. And I think Dexter made a piece last season that I kind of liked one time where he used a bit of fringe that was like all white or something. This to me, there's a difference between like modest, like she made last week, that was still form-fitting and cool, and she even said like she wants to be fashionable and kind of push it. This felt very obscuring, like it was meant to hide and cover the model, like she was drowning in fringe. The fringe was not accentuating her body. It was not going like with the flow or have like designed to have movement. It was literally designed to be like curtains around her body.
And it looked so busy to me. Like, it was so much going on. Because it wasn't just the fringe. Like, she still has all this stuff happening at, like, the neck.
Because it was high-necked again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
all the way to the floor. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
I also like the bottle cap buttons, but on this particular garment, it just aged it.
Yeah.
Like, a dress with all those buttons down the back just makes me think of, like, old-style kind of dresses. So that was the runway.
Yep.
15 designers. So it turned out that Team Ballin' on a Budget was the winning team. And Team Tsunami was on the bottom, which meant that Team Wabi Sabi was safe. Did you agree with just that team?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my winning teams would have been either Ballin' on a Budget or Wabi Sabi. But, I'm fine with it.
I think I preferred Team Wabi Sabi slightly, but I like some of the risks that Ballin' on a Budget took, maybe more, and knowing that this was the high fashion kind of push the limits. I think I agree. Team Tsunami, definitely the weakest.
Yeah.
So we started off with the winners like always. So it turned out that on the team, they kind of all got to say who they think should win. And like a good cohesive team, they all kind of said each other. So like no one, a lot of people, I think a couple people said Ayana, someone said Brandon since he kind of made that pattern. And then I think Brandon said Aaron because he kind of made something similar to what Brandon makes. So none of them, like there was no, oh, well, I should win because I did this. They were all very nice to each other. And it turned out that Ayana won. What do we think?
I don't agree. Just, as we just discussed, I didn't see it, but...
I'm surprised. Last week, we both really liked her piece. And I was surprised that she wasn't in the top. I think I probably would have given it to Botany or Brandon here.
Me too.
So, yeah, I do disagree here. But I like Ayana as a designer.
Yeah.
And I want to see more from her. So I'm glad she gets an early win to build up her confidence. I just wish maybe it was last week. Or she'd at least been in the top last week and not this time.
Absolutely.
But there didn't seem to be any hurt feelings there. There wasn't anybody being like, oh, I should have won.
Right.
Or anything. Which is nice because that's not always the case on this show. Next up was Team Tsunami in the bottom. And it turned out that Samantha, Amy, and Claire were all safe.
Yeah.
All their pieces were fine. And it was Centel and Sean in the bottom. Second week in a row for Sean. And it turned out Centel went home. What do we feel about that?
This one's tough because it's like as the viewer, you see all of the workroom stuff, whereas the judges don't see that. If we're looking at just the pieces themselves and just forgetting about any background information that might have happened, like, yeah, I agree. Like, Sentel's piece was the weakest.
Right.
It really was. But I don't know. It's like I said earlier, I wish we could see who actually did what on Sean's piece. Like, I guess that's what bugs me about it. But at the same time, this is Project Runway. Her time will come. It will come.
Yes. Well, both twins can't win.
No, and I don't think either will. That's my prediction.
You heard it here first, folks. No, we made our predictions
statement.
last episode, our last podcast. We made our estimates for the rest of the season, and neither one of us put the twins on the top. Probably a mistake, knowing this show. They love to keep their, like, they just, they hammer. Look at Cornelius. He made it to the top 5.
I don't buy it. No.
He made it to the top 4, didn't he?
Yeah, he was really high up.
Yeah, so because once they find something that like gets some drama, they're gonna hammer it to the ground.
They even turned us around on him.
Yeah, for a little bit. Yep. So I did not like what Sentel made last week, the like bride of Darth Maul. So to me, it's like, you know. Plus, we got a little of his backstory that he just married his husband and they didn't even get to go on a honeymoon. So now he can go spend time with his husband. Although not really, you have to stay in the hotel till the show's over, so you don't give up any spoilers. They don't really tell you that, but you don't get to leave. So you're still there until it's done. And then so then we got a little peek into next week, but we'll get to that in a minute. Our guests again were Ann Fullenwider and Maggie Q. And let's get into some quotes of the week. Not as many. Without Cha-Cha, I feel like our quotes of the week are really going to drop. And I don't really have a Tim Gunn quote of the week, other than his face when hearing Ballin' on a Budget. But I do have a different quote of the week, and we'll get there. So at one point when they're dumping all their trash into the workroom, looking like pawing through it, someone said, "It's like Easter threw up in here." And particularly for Team Tsunami, some of those colors were a little sea glass Easter. Yes. And then I think a very sage note from Claire, which I really enjoyed, that they split Claire and Sean up for their talking head moments. Talking about Sean, she said she lets fear get between her and success. Which I think, as a sibling watching another sibling, and it's hard for me, I have an older brother, so I was never a mentor to a sibling but I can imagine as a twin or as somebody much closer in age to their sibling, that's it would be so hard to watch someone who is successful and smart and clever and good struggle. That would be very hard, and I don't think we've ever seen siblings. So but that kind of line, she was terrified. Sean did not want to go home, regardless of her work ethic. Or what she made on her piece. It's hard to watch someone struggle that visibly. I even felt bad for Cornelius when he got bullied last season, okay? The show, when they show people, breaking down crying and it, feels legitimate, it's God, that must really be hard for Claire to watch. So, but hearing that kind of sage advice, I agree. Next up, we had Marcia, and she was one of the the models, and she was saying in one of the model mirrors, she's it's not very comfortable, but this isn't Project Comfort. And I think we need to remember that as an audience, but also the showrunners. This is a high fashion design competition. And last episode, they were giving the models a little too much say, we felt. That they were oh, this doesn't fit me. It doesn't.
Right.
It's custom clothes designed to fit you. Just because it's not your style or it's not comfortable, it's still a custom dress made to fit you to go on a high fashion runway. And then the quote of the week for me was Maggie Q, who I don't know. She's an actress model lady. She's very pretty and well spoken with a lot of things she said, but at one point talking about Sean and Claire, who both claim that Sean's model was a curvy lady and how working with plus size is harder, and it's a model who's in the middle of their models and certainly nowhere near, I don't even know. And she said, "Grow up and make clothes for real people." Quote of the season, quote of a lifetime, Maggie Q. Grow up.
That was good.
Sean and Claire really needed to hear that. And make clothes for real people. That especially, and then I think one of them said, this is the United States. Make clothes for people in the United States. Yeah.
Maggie Q again.
Yeah. And it's just yeah, it's true. We're, sorry. We're not all stick skinny little ladies. We're not all Katy Perry.
Right.
You know, who I wouldn't say is her traditional model body type either. Isn't she kind of shorter, bustier, like, you know, than like your 6 foot tall, stick thin models? So it's like, if that's who you've worked with before, twins,
Yeah.
you know, break out. So then we saw a little peek into next week, and it looks like there's going to be some ballet dancers, and that their next challenge will be based on dance, movement, and inspiration.
Yep.
So that'll be fun, because I like ones that focus on movement. We've had so many structured pieces that it'll be nice to see that. But do you have any closing statements?
No.
Any of your own quotes of the week?
No. You captured mine. I mean, I'll say, I hope there's another unconventional. 'Cause this one just wasn't, I'm not satisfied with this one.
I feel like last season we got 3, didn't we?
Yeah, there was definitely more than one. So I hope it's the same this season.
Because I think they had the first one, like first episode, which was like in the party room, like using like pillows and plates and stuff. And then they had another one that was the galaxy
Oh, yes.
queen, we'll say, with the metal.
Most iconic episode there is, really.
With all the metal and everything. And then they had another one in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
So last season they had 3 unconventional challenges. So I think with this being only episode 2, we'll see at least one more, potentially more. But next episode looks more like it's back to kind of traditional.
Yeah.
But with dance and movement, so that'll be neat.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. Should be a good season. We've got our little taste of drama. Looks like it's really gonna swirl around the twins.
Yeah.
Until they kick one off. And if Sean's in the bottom again next week, 3 times in a row.
You can't three-peat.
Unless she's gonna be an Aaron from last season who was like in the top and then in the bottom for like the whole season and then won it all.
No.
So there's a small chance.
I refuse to accept that. No.
Yes, pass your judgment. All right, so I think that's it for us
Yep.
this week, and we will go see you guys next week.
All right.